Well, a very warm welcome back to Classic Dirtbike TV and welcome to the Westmoreland Motor Club's CCM Jamboree. Yes, thanks once again for joining me here on Classic Dirtbike TV as we continue with the racing footage from the Westmoreland's Golden Jubilee CCM Scramble weekend, and in this part 3 video we're going to show you the final few races from the Saturday's race programme. So I do hope you stay tuned for the next 30 minutes or so as we start with the pre-1968s over 350s and the pre-75s up to 250cc. Now, as you can see, the weather is still fantastic here at the Westmoreland Showground as we just wait on this next race getting underway. It looks like everything's good to go as they leave the line. It's been a good start there by John Griffiths, number 33 on the Cecil Pearson Rickman Jap. Although as they make their way around turn 2, it looks like James Thompson is taking an early lead in this race. Chris Winder is in second position on his flying little Elsinore 250. Number 33 is John Griffiths. Number 111 there is Harry Stitt. Number 44 is Adrian Lappin, and all these 3 riders are riding these Rickman Jap bikes, but it's James Thompson with the early lead from number 13. That's Chris Winder. Looks like John Griffiths is up there in third position on the Cecil Pearson Jap, but it's James Thompson as they come towards us. Chris Winder number 13, John Griffiths number 33, Harry Stitt number 111, Adrian Lappin number 44. I think that's Nick Archer just making his way through. Andy Cam is number 43, although it's a man from Northern Ireland, James Thompson. I think James has already won about 3 races here today on the Saturday, so he's made another good start here on that Rickman framed Jap machine, the 1960s Rickman frame with the 1930s long stroking 4-stroke John Alford press switch motor in the chassis. As you can see, they may be 1930s technology, these engines, but you can see that these are very quick bikes on the track, and these engines of course were originally designed to be raced in speedway bikes, and you can see James is making good use of that power and sliding it around the corners here at this Westmoreland County Showground racetrack. Now, as I mentioned previously, this bike is just one of I think it's 6 or possibly even 7 bikes that Cecil Pearson has brought over from Northern Ireland to race at this event. A very unique collection of race bikes, but as you can see, they're not just show machines. These are pretty quick racers as well. So it's James Thompson, your race leader. Second, number 13, is Chris Winder, who for me was one of the outstanding talents at this event over the course of the 2 days. Number 111 just making his way through, that's Harry Stitt on the Harry Stitt framed Jap machine. Now naturally, of course, because this is a combined class race between the pre-68s over 350s and the pre-75s up to 250s, they will be scored separately as they cross the finish line. So effectively we have 2 race leaders here at the moment, with James Thompson leading the pre-68 over 350cc class, and this man here, Chris Winder, who is leading the pre-75s up to 250. But Chris has certainly given a good account of himself on that little 250 Honda, when you consider that James Thompson's riding a 600 methanol burning Jap machine, and Chris here is riding that little 2-stroke 250 Elsinore Honda. Now this part 3 video is of course the final races from the Saturday's race programme, and coming up quite soon will be all the racing footage from the Sunday's races, including the CCM races, so that will more than likely be another 3-part version for the Sunday's race programme, so make sure you subscribe to my channel in order that you don't miss out on any of those races from Sunday. But here's your race leader in the pre-68 over 350cc class, James Thompson on the Rickman Jap. Now James not only rides these classic machines, he also takes part in modern motocross racing in Northern Ireland, and as you can expect, he's very quick on one of those modern machines as well. But it's nice to see these old Rickman Japs still taking part in classic racing. We're looking at number 44, Adrian Lappin, also from Northern Ireland, and just behind Adrian there is Harry Stitt. And as our race leader comes towards the checkered flag, it looks like it's going to be another win in the pre-1968 over 350s for James Thompson, as he comes round just to pass number 118. I think that's Kenny Harper on his quite nice looking CZ machine. So it's a win for James Thompson, and of course this man here will also win the pre-75s up to 250cc class. That's a win also for Chris Winder. So that brings us round to the pre-1975 over 250s for their final race of the Saturday. Another good field of riders lined up for this race. So as they leave the line, that's a good start there by Ben Butterworth on that BSA there, number 44. Looks like there's been a collision there between, that looks like number 32, Trevor Calderwood from Northern Ireland. Seems to have got his legs trapped under his CZ machine, but it looks like both riders are okay. And I think it was actually number 211, Steve Kitching, that was involved in that little fracas into turn 1, but both riders look okay as we check out our race leaders. I think that's Keith Rice who is leading this race at the moment. Second position is number 264, that's Chris Chell on that Shenny BSA. And it looks like Ben Butterworth is up to third position now with looks like Ian Buchanan at number 4 on the CZ, but it looks like Chris Chell is taking the lead of this race. Keith Rice is second. Ben Butterworth just going through there. Ian Buchanan is number 4, just making his way through. Number 180 is Archie Baird on that quite exotic 3L CZ machine. But Chris Chell has had a very good day today for the first day of racing. And this is a lovely machine that Chris is riding. It's a Shenny BSA with a big BSA B50 4-stroke motor in the frame. So it's Chris Chell in first position. Second is now Ian Buchanan, number 4. Third is Ben Butterworth. We're looking at number 125. That's Ian Stainton, who's riding that Alan Clues Stroker machine. Now we're looking at number 438 on the CZ machine, and a rider that I can't identify due to not being listed in the race programme, so you may have been a late entry for this event and not being able to get put in the programme prior to racing commencing. But here's your race leader, 264, Chris Chell. Looks like Chris is quite comfortable at this point with a decent lead over second place man, which was last time round Ian Buchanan, number 4 on the CZ machine. Chris, of course, is just one of the Chell family that are racing at this event. We also have Joe Chell and Simon Chell also taking part in this event this weekend. So quite a family affair for the Chell family, but Chris is looking very good at this point in the pre-75s over 250s. Ian Buchanan just making his way through in second position. But again, you can see that the weather was absolutely perfect for this type of classic racing event. It's not often that we do get good weather here, even in the summertime in the UK. It can be quite wet and windy often in the summertime, but we have certainly been blessed with the perfect weekend here at the Westmoreland County Showground. Now we're looking at number 4, that's Ian Buchanan on his nicely turned out CZ machine. As we are back with our race leader, number 264, Chris Chell. And Chris Chell, of course, will be taking part in the British Championship races later in this video, so look out for Chris taking part in the pre-74 class of that British Championship. Now just coming towards us, we're going to take a look at number 43, that's Andy Mallock from Scotland on his 360 CZ machine, and just behind Andy there in the orange is number 60, that's Ian Grout on that lovely CCM bike. But here is your race leader as he heads towards the checkered flag. It's going to be a very comfortable win for number 264. That's Chris Chell on his lovely Shenny BSA. Okay, that brings us round to the last and final race for the pre-1978 class. Another good lineup of riders for this class. And as they leave the line, a good start there by number 33, that's Peter Williamson on the Myco. Lee Davis has also made a good start on the inside on the Hagen Yamaha, but it looks like Lee Davis is your early leader in this pre-1978 class as they all make their way into turn 3. Looks like most of the riders have negotiated the first 2 or 3 turns safely, but as we look to the top side of the track, it is in fact Lee Davis, number 8, on that very unique Hagen Yamaha 4-stroke machine. Second place looks like it's number 29, that's Keir Tet in second position. But Lee Davis looking very strong on that Hagen Yamaha at this point. I think Lee has already won a couple of races here on the Saturday, so he could be looking at a hat trick before the end of today's racing. So it looks like it's still Lee Davis on the Hagen Yamaha bike who's your race leader. As I mentioned previously, a very unique machine this, with the all alloy chassis with that integral fuel tank built into the chassis. Number 29 is Keir Tet on the, I think it's a CCM that Keir's riding. It looks like one of the Bethel boys there, number 44, who unfortunately again is not listed in the programme, but I think that could possibly be Paul Bethel, number 44 on the CCM. So it's still Lee Davis, your race leader, with the 2 CCMs of Keir Tet, and I think that's Paul Bethel in third position. Peter Williamson just going through there in fourth on the Myco. Number 29 again, Keir Tet. Number 45 is of course Alan Hardy. And as you can see, the track beginning to dry quite quickly here at the Westmoreland County Showground, and the dust is just beginning to fly around. Now these aluminium framed Hagen Yamahas of course were developed and ridden away back in the day by the motocross legend Vic Eastwood, who helped develop this bike, and I think these became to be known as the VE Hagen Yamahas for Vic Eastwood, but a very quick bike and a very unique machine indeed. There's certainly not another manufacturer that makes frames like these Hagen Yamahas, and I think Hagen also made a Suzuki version of this bike with the big 4-stroke 500 Suzuki motor in the chassis. But this is Lee Davis on his Hagen Yamaha in first position. Second place now looks like it could be number 44. I think that could be Paul Bethel in second position now. It looks like Keir Tet is now in third position with Peter Williamson in fourth. Number 45 again is Alan Hardy. Number 7 just making his way through on the Michael. That's I think that's Johnny Walker. Now at these classic motocross events, if you're not really into the racing as such, it's certainly worth the admission price alone just to come to these events and take a walk through the paddock and look at all the fantastic old machines from back in the day. And when you're looking at gems like this Hagen Yamaha that Lee Davis is riding, it's just good to get a glimpse of these machines once again, as many of these old bikes these days are held in undercover in private collections or museums. So it's great just to see these bikes in the flesh, and of course still racing on the track. So there's your second placed rider, number 44 on the CCM. I think that's Paul Bethel. Keir Tet is still in third with Peter Williamson in fourth position, but here's your race leader as he heads towards the checkered flag for another win. It's number 8, Lee Davis, on the Hagen 500 or 540, sorry, Yamaha. But this has been another good ride by Lee. It doesn't look like he's going to be troubled as he heads towards the checkered flag, but another good ride. And yet again, as I said, it's just great to see one of these old bikes still taking part in classic racing. So it's a win for number 8, Lee Davis. Okay, that brings us up to the penultimate race for the Saturday. It's the final race for the twin shock air-cooled 125 machines, the little two-stroke screamers as they leave the line. Looks like quite a good start there by number 51. I think that's Martin Stokes on the YZ 125, but it looks like we've got a faller into turn 1. But it looks like he's okay as he picks his bike up once again to continue. And so as we pick up our race leader on lap 1, it looks like it's still number 51, Martin Stokes on the YZ 125. Very quick little bikes these, even though they are only 125s. I think in second position there, that looks distinctly like that's Andrew Hinchcliffe in second position, number 224 on the CR125 Honda. So it's Andrew Hinchcliffe in second position, number 288, who is not listed in the race programme. Looks like he's got some kind of mechanical problem with his little Yamaha there. Looks like it could be a transmission problem, but it looks like he's heading for a DNF. So it looks like it's still Martin Stokes first, second is Andrew Hinchcliffe, third is Aaron Dent, number 16 on the 125 Honda. This has been a good start by Martin Stokes on his particular 125, and they may be quite small engines, these little two-strokers, but they can certainly get around at the racetrack. But Andrew Hinchcliffe looks like he's closing in on Martin Stokes for that pole position. Now these little 125s are becoming increasingly popular at these classic and vintage race events, and as I mentioned in a previous video, we've only just recently introduced this class to our Scottish Classic racing events, and they're proving to be quite popular among some of the classic riders. So it's still Martin Stokes who leads from number 224, Andrew Hinchcliffe in second position as they come towards us. Now Ian Knight appears to be missing from this third race of the day, and Ian was doing very well in the previous races and was running at the front of the pack, but it doesn't appear that Ian's taking part in this final race of the day. So it looks like Andrew Hinchcliffe is now past Martin Stokes and taking the lead of this 125 race. So it's Andrew Hinchcliffe on the 125 Honda who leads Martin Stokes on his 125 YZ two-stroker. But it's been quite a long day for the racers here on the Saturday, with 20 races to get through on the Saturday, and of course the following day, the Sunday, is scheduled to have 27 races, but on the Sunday's race programme I only filmed up to race 20, but there's still plenty action to come from the Sunday race programme as we take a look at number 51. That's Martin Stokes. But it's quite hard work for these little 125s on such a big track with the wide open spaces, and you can almost guarantee that these little 125s will be at the top of the rev range on most of the track. So it's quite hard work for these little machines, but nonetheless it still looks like great fun. But these two certainly appear to be enjoying themselves. Number 224 Andrew Hinchcliffe at the front there, with number 51 Martin Stokes close behind. But these little 125 Elsinores, very popular machines back in the day, as we catch up with number 104 at the front there, and that's another extremely rare bike. I think that's a 1980 or 81 KTM 125, and that's Martin Thornton's bike, an absolutely beautiful machine, and this is another bike that we'll take a close look at later in a video on my Classic Dirt Bike TV channel. Now, talking of rare bikes, this is another rare machine. This is a 1979 or 78 Michael 125 with the disc valve induction system. A beautiful looking bike, and it sounds absolutely gorgeous when it goes past, with that little whistling sound that you get from that rotating fibre disc for the fuel induction. So as we pick up our race leaders as they head towards the checkered flag, looks like it's going to be a win for number 224 Andrew Hinchcliffe. And of course Andrew made a decent start at the beginning of this race, but it was Martin Stokes who had some of the early running. But as they head towards the finish line, it's going to be Andrew Hinchcliffe, your race winner, from this man here, number 51. That's Martin Stokes. Okay, that brings us to the final race for the Saturday's race programme, and it's the AMCA British Classic Championship Race 2. And this will conclude the racing footage from the Saturday. So as they all head into turn 1, it's James Thompson again on that Rickman Jap who's got the whole shot as they all head up the hill. But as you can see, the dust now beginning to fly in this track as the track dries out. And we're looking at Adrian Lappin there just making his way through, but it looks like most riders have safely negotiated the first 2 or 3 turns. So as they make their way round on lap 1, it's that man again, number 26 James Thompson, who's had a absolutely fantastic day's racing. Second place is Chris Winder. Looks like in third, that looks like that could be Ricky Peda in third place, with Liston Bell in fourth position. Chris Chell looks like he's in at 5th place. As we take a look at Liston Bell, one of the Scottish riders, one of the Bell family, of course. Liston's younger brother Lewis also rides in this event. Number 4, Ian Buchanan, just making his way through there. Keith Rice just going through on the CZ, and that's Wayne Partington just passing on the yellow CZ bike. Now this British Championship round will be round 3 here at the Westmoreland County Showground. Now these championship rounds are usually held all over the country, and these are very popular with the classic riders. We have 4 different classes in, of course, in the British Championship for the pre-60s, pre-65s, pre-68s, and of course the pre-1974 class. So there's plenty to play for in that British Championship rounds. So we're taking a look at Ricky Pedder on the Triumph Twin. Ricky's had quite a good day here on the Saturday. I think he won a couple of races earlier on, so he's had quite a decent day for his first day of racing. As we take a look at James Thompson, who will be leading this race for the pre-60s class. Chris Winder there in 2nd position. Ricky Pedder at 3rd. We're looking at, I think that was Lewis Bell just making his way through there, with Ian Buchanan close behind. Now you may remember we had a fantastic race between James Thompson and Chris Winder in that first British Championship race here at the Westmoreland County Showground earlier on, and Chris, although these guys were both riding in separate classes, Chris eventually managed to pass James Thompson for the win, so we'll just keep an eye on Chris Winder in 2nd place to see if he can repeat the feat. But at this moment it's James Thompson who has a decent lead over Chris Winder at this point. But rule out this man here at your peril, because he is extremely quick on that little 250 Honda Elsinore. It's maybe a small machine, but Chris can certainly make this little bike dance around the racetrack, so look for Chris closing in on James Thompson as we get nearer the end of this British Championship race. But this collection of old Rickman Jap scramblers that Cecil Pearson has brought over from Northern Ireland was certainly drawing the crowds over the 2 days, and there can't be many people that have a collection as unique as this collection of Cecil's. I think he has 9 of these Rickman Jap scramblers at the moment, and currently building even more, so a very unique collection indeed as we take a look at race leader number 26, James Thompson, who is currently your race leader of the 2nd British Championship race. Number 9 there is Lewis Bell. Chris Chell just coming towards us there. And so you can just see in the background there that Chris Winder is getting very close to James Thompson now, so we may see another carbon copy of one of the previous races where Chris came from behind to pass James Thompson. Now remember, both these riders are riding in different classes in the British Championship, but nonetheless it still makes for good viewing watching these 2 riders battle it out, and it looks like Chris Winder is now your new race leader on that 250 Honda Elsinore. But when you consider the difference in horsepower between James Thompson's 600 single cylinder 4-stroke methanol burning Jap machine and Chris Winder's little 252 stroke Elsinore, a bit of a difference in terms of horsepower, but as you can see, that's a very nimble little machine that Chris Winder has under his feet. So it's Chris Winder, your race leader, with James Thompson in second position. But for me, these two riders have been the most outstanding of the day on the Saturday, between Chris Winder here and James Thompson. Two very quick riders, but quite amazing really that Chris Winder has managed to pass that big 600 Jap on this little 250 Honda. But of course the little Honda is lighter and more nimble, whereby the big Jap will more than likely spend most of its time spinning that back wheel. I think these Jap bikes are putting out about 70 horsepower at the rear wheel, so quite a chunk of horsepower compared to Chris's little Elsinore. But I have to say, it's been a fantastic day of racing for day one here at the Westmoreland Motor Club's Golden CCM Jubilee Scramble event. We have witnessed 20 races here on the Saturday, and of course there's more fantastic racing to come in the Sunday's race programme, so make sure you retune for that event. So it's Chris Winder, your race leader, from James Thompson in second position, as both riders cross the finish line to start their last and final lap of this British Championship race. But yet again, you have to take your hat off to this man, Chris Winder. Another fantastic display on his 250 Honda Elsinore, and he well deserves the win in this particular race. So with almost half a lap to go, it's still Chris Winder, your race leader. And of course Chris did quite a lot of hard work on this track, putting the track together and building it. And when I arrived on the Friday, Chris was still working at the track, putting posts in and banners and doing all the prep work. So well done to Chris, and it looks like all his hard work is reaping dividends with another race win. So as he comes towards the checkered flag, it's going to be a win for Chris Winder. Second position is going to be James Thompson. And I do hope you've enjoyed all the racing footage from this Saturday's race event here at the Westmoreland County Showground, and make sure that you do return and retune to my channel to see all the racing footage from the Sunday's race programme. And of course we will have all of those very good CCM races. So thanks once again for tuning in to Classic Dirt Bike TV.